I can't believe it. Are they actually going to extend it? There's actually no way that they're actually going to extend. Oh, yes. 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 Sweet, utter victory, dude. Oh my God. This is the greatest thing. This is actually beautiful.
So obviously, yeah, Johnny Somali might have done one of the biggest mistakes in his entire case, because like the dude has been doing mistakes the whole way through, but this is probably his worst because, as we know, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison with labor. But for some reason, he decided to appeal. Remember in my last stream, I was saying, oh, the prosecutor might appeal because, you know, the prosecutor's trying to extend his sentence, so that's why they would want to appeal. Why would he appeal? I don't know. I guess he was misinformed because from what I know, the average time for a new trial to start is about 5 months. So he's in prison for 6 months, remember? So by the time his trial is almost, or by the time his prison time is almost finished, his trial is just getting started, his new trial. So that's going to go on for months. So I don't know what he's thinking there, but we have a whole lot of new information. So today I have Gabe with me here today.
Oh my God.
And he's going to help me break down all the new information.
This is some breaking news,
this whole case.
Chat. Breaking news.
Welcome, Gabe. Thank you for joining the stream.
RoboCop statue.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is even going on? Okay, so I guess there's a few updates. So first you have like the official statement from the Victims Council.
Right.
That came out. Then you also have the appeal by Johnny, and then now the appeal by the prosecutor.
That's right. The prosecutor has also appealed. So what that means, this is a complete game changer. It means that April 15th was not the end. It's just the beginning of the end. And this prosecutor is going to go for something much closer to that 3-year recommendation at the beginning, because a reduction from 3 years to 6 months is manifestly unreasonable. It's ridiculous, and everybody knows it. And the prosecutor has decided to appeal that. So this is a process by which they're going to try to get closer to that 3 years.
Wow. So okay, so obviously that's what the prosecutor's trying to do. And I guess, what do you think? So did Johnny appeal by himself, or did he use an attorney to do this?
So what happens is, as soon as you're detained, they detain you for a week in a detention center. There are several in Seoul, and there are rumors, unconfirmed rumors, that he is at a place called Seoul Nambu Detention Center. And if you look on Kakao Map or Naver Map, you'll just see a bunch of trees that are photoshopped in to hide it. But on Google Map, you can find it. Seoul Nambu Detention Center. And so they keep you in this detention center for a week in case, because they want to see if there's going to be an appeal. You have a week to appeal. And if there is an appeal, they keep you there for the entire appeal. And the detention centers are worse than prison, and they're worse than labor.
What?
With prison with labor, even. So he done played himself again.
Okay, wait. So so he's not even doing his actual prison time. He's just subtracting his detention time. This
time in the detention center is going to count towards his prison time, but it's going to be worse and more boring and more physically grueling and more unpleasant than prison itself. It's sort of this purgatory, on your way to prison, and getting stuck there is one of the worst things that can happen. But he stuck himself there. Anyway, the prosecutor did appeal, so he would have stayed there anyway. And this is going to go on. If it goes according to the normal schedule, it'll start around September. And mind you, he's supposed to get released in
what, like October-ish?
October, but because of the 20 days, maybe early November. I mean, early mid-November is when he is supposed to be released. But September is according to the timeline, around when the second trial will start. So he will be in detention until the trial begins and until the trial ends. And then if either party appeals to the Supreme Court, which is also very easy to do, then he stays in the detention center also until that final appeal is done. But we're dealing with this appeal right now, this first appeal. So indeed, the media was right. The lawyer was right when they were calling the first trial exactly that, the first trial. This is the second trial right now. Johnny's, I don't know what he's going to argue because he got a super light sentence. And, of course, it's obvious he doesn't even realize that yet. and the prosecutor is going to fight this decision to give him a excessively light sentence, which I think is absolutely the right thing to do.
I feel like I've been shocked like throughout this entire case.
Oh my!
And I also feel like Johnny has been playing the wrong move throughout the entire case.
Of course he does.
Like,
right.
kind of like it's kind of like he had like an option game, like pick
American.
option A or option B, and he's always going with the worst option. I guess just to unlock the worst possible ending. So now he got off with an extremely light sentence, and he decides to appeal it, which does not make sense. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. So you do
First
have
of all, because he's extending his own sentence. He was the one who took the initiative with the prosecutor before the prosecutor even to extend his own sentence. So yes, guys, 6 months.
God.
It's not going to be 6 months. That's guaranteed. The only question is how much more than 6 months it's going to be.
Okay, so if he goes through this very long process now, and for example, let's say he gets 2 years, so is the detention time that he's doing all the way up until this, for example, alleged 2-year sentence, if that actually happens, would that be deducted from the prison sentence?
Exactly, it counts as time served.
Okay.
But again, that's not a bad thing because detention center is worse than prison, even with labor.
Wow. Okay, so you would basically go out and say it's basically guaranteed that he's now going to stay in Korea for longer than 6 months and 20 days.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost 100% guaranteed. The only way that wouldn't happen is if the second trial finishes before October or so.
Yeah.
Which is unlikely but possible. Okay, so that's one scenario where he gets 6 months, but he would also have to win. The prosecutor would have to lose the case in order for that to happen. And we talked about the math, and we talked about the sentencing guidelines last time, and this light sentence is so obviously outside of the guidelines, like a extreme deviation from the guidelines, especially considering that the judge named very serious aggravating factors, that I don't see how the prosecutor could lose this.
Interesting.
But again,
and now
nothing is guaranteed. We've seen curveballs coming left and right?
Yeah.
So nothing is guaranteed, but it's having this trial end before October and having the prosecutor lose. Both of those factors are not very likely.
Yes.
So we can pretty much count on him getting more than 6 months, and we can count on it being in a hellhole that's worse than prison with labor. So
let's go,
so,
dude.
Okay, who do you think is going to be the witnesses for this now? So obviously, like, will they bring Bong Bong and Youngman back to the stand?
I think they will, because there is a very big problem with how the judge interpreted their testimony. Again, you and I were not in the room for the testimony, but we did hear enough corroborating testimonies of what they said to get a good idea of what they said. And Bong Bong has talked on her stream about what she said before she went to court and after she went to court. She did a whole rundown of what the testimony contained, and nothing about it was very surprising, knowing her and knowing the entire situation. But it definitely was not saying, "Oh, I don't care. There's no damage. I felt no shame whatsoever." She contradicts herself sometimes.
Yeah. But that was the interesting thing about her testimony, because as she was in the Uber on the way to court, she just ran through her testimony.
Yeah.
And after court, she kind of ran back through her testimony and kind of told everyone what she was saying and everything. So
she told us what she was going to say. She said it, and then she told us what she said. So
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so the detention center that he's currently in, you're saying it's worse than that.
It's worse.
How
than
do you
prison.
think his life is going to be in prison there, or in the detention center before he goes to prison?
Andrew's actually going to be talking a lot about that on the stream, but what I do know is he'll be sleeping next to the toilet, which is a hole in the ground.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that's not ideal. Okay, and then I guess I have another question as well, because if they decide to bring back Bong Bong and Youngman as witnesses, does that mean they're going to space out the trials by at least 2 months, like they were doing with the other witnesses for the trial that we just witnessed?
They tend to do that in first trial when people are when there's somebody who pleads not guilty when a person pleads. But that's a good question. Let me take a look at some precedents here and see how it was spaced out.
And do you think there'll be any other witnesses than Bong Bong and Youngman to this trial?
That is possible. Usually people use the second trial as an opportunity to call another witness. I just don't know who it would be. I have no idea who it would be. So it's possible, but I don't know who it would be that would help his case. We also do not know. We don't know what his argument's going to be. I mean, we do know it's going to be ridiculous, but we don't know what his argument's going to be. But he could have his argument for, against his sentence. Whatever it is, maybe that could involve needing to call another witness, and they'll allow him that chance, and it will extend the trial, and that's great.
I mean, like, I would assume that his argument's probably going to be the exact same as what it was originally. I think he's just going to hope that it works better this time or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole situation, it doesn't make sense, but yeah, I guess here we are.
Yeah, I can see that in an appeal trial they do space out. If there's witnesses, they will space out the trial dates by maybe 2 months, 2 to 3 months. So witnesses will make it take a little bit longer. Absolutely, I think Bong Bong and Youngman are going to return, because what's at issue here is how the judge interpreted their testimony, which it appears he misinterpreted.
And last time he also had the help of Hank, and now it doesn't look like that's there anymore.
What?
Yeah, those days are over.
I think that's also going to negatively affect this current trial, because didn't Hank testify for him in his favor?
Yeah, we both saw a great effort on Hank's part to run cover for Johnny in October, right? We saw it right before our eyes. In 2 different court cases, spaced a week apart, he testified in a way that was favorable to Johnny, and he helped bring about that settlement with Youngman, and he signed it as well.
Correct. And now he's probably gonna He's probably gonna have to go into this trial without Hank. And could Hank be called? And what happens if Hank's opinion has flipped on Johnny, and he now has to testify, and he could testify against him now?
That would be
that would be crazy.
That would be next level.
That would be wild. That would be amazing. Actually happened.
It's
what
possible.
A twist.
Wow, we are living in interesting times, to put it lightly. I can't believe this happened. I actually can't believe he was sentenced to begin with. That was like, oh, whoa. Because I'm just so used to all these streamers getting let off with a slap on the wrist. And a lot of people are arguing that his sentence was a slap on the wrist, but regardless, he got a guilty verdict, and he was actually sentenced to prison with labor. And now he's immediately kneecapping himself by making his sentence even worse by appealing. Right. But I guess it would have happened inevitably, because now the prosecutor also appealed. So does that change anything that both parties appealed?
It will be one trial. So it's not going to be 2 separate trials. And yeah, everybody out there who should know that this is very significant, because the chances of him serving only those 6 months are now almost 0. They're very, very small. So it's not exaggerating to say that he's going to serve longer. And if the prosecutor wins, it's going to get closer to that 3 years that was originally recommended.
And someone's asking also, is there a chance the judge will give him the 3 years now, because they might take offense by him being ungrateful for the light sentence to begin with?
Judges make their decisions for all sorts of reasons. If they say it's only for the justice and complying with the law, that's sort of wishful thinking. But I think I think a judge. I think any reasonable judge or any reasonable judgment would be a lot closer to that 3 years, because no matter how, I've run so many scenarios with how you take these crimes and the factors that aggravate, many of which the judge didn't even think about or mention, right? And there should be no mitigating factors. Right. There's no mitigating factors here. Then the mitigating factors that the judge came up with are nonsense. So I think any reasonable judge would decide something closer to those 3 years. However, I had a theory about why this judge may have given such a light sentence. And it could be because his thinking is, all right, he deserves a very harsh sentence, but I'm going to kick the can down the road. I don't want to be the one to do it. I'll let the higher court make that decision. So it's
That
like he
is
takes the
interesting.
burden of the decision off himself. He's like, I'm going to give it such a low sentence that it's obviously going to go to the higher court, and then a panel of 3 judges will make a decision.
The panel of
That's
3
just a
judges?
theory, of course. We're never going to know.
Yeah.
We'll never
so
know.
now, okay, so in the, I guess, the appeal court now, there'll be 3 judges instead of 1.
Oh,
Yes.
Do you think that helps or hurts Johnny?
that hurts him.
I think it hurts because if this had been a panel in the first case, I don't think 2 other judges would have agreed with that judge. So I think that is to his disadvantage.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, my
Well, wow. Do you have anything else to add before we hop off?
No shot, dude.
Yeah,
no
sure.
Shot.
So the prosecutor submitted their appeal today, but they also submitted their grounds for appeal document, which they didn't have to submit today. They have a month to do that, because that takes a lot of work. So that means this judge is going to be very aggressive that they really prioritized this case. They got their grounds for appeal in right away. And Johnny's grounds for appeal is also due within 1 month, but we won't find out what's in that until the trial begins, which is around September.
Oh,
wow.
My God.
Do you know what the grounds for appeal was?
We'll find out at the first trial.
Okay. Because we do have, at least we have the statement from the victim's legal counsel here.
How does this shit just keeps getting better and better and better? How does it just keep getting better, dude? We thought this would be the end of Johnny Somali. Be like, all right, that's the end of the conversation of Johnny Somali. No, it just keeps getting just better and better and better. How is that even possible, man? How do you manage to do that?
And the gist of that was, yeah, it was just too weak.
Yep.
Because like the ending sentence was after
I cannot wait to hear the news
consolation
on this,
of the victim, we've decided to submit a
September.
formal request to the prosecutor's office urging an appeal. Given the impact of the court's reasoning on the humiliation may have on the sentencing standards in future deepfake cases, we believe this matter must be reviewed by a higher court. We hope this ruling serves as an occasion to heighten public awareness of personal rights violations committed through online platforms and of deepfake-based offenses. Wow. Okay, so that was the update for now.
Damn,
I'll be
dude.
linking Gabe's channel down below. Please check him out because he's been extremely helpful with this entire case. And I'll see you guys in the next stream.
He had to stream it because it was like this is like breaking news update. Not gonna lie, on behalf of planet Earth, thank you, Korea. 6 months was way too lenient. Man deserved at least 3 to 5 years. Facts. The gift that keeps on giving. South Korea. Oops, our bad. 6 years is with hard labor. He gets a sentence that is a gift. Decides to appeal it. He's not the sharpest tool in the box. I think Hank should have been punished also for continually bankrolling Johnny's behavior. Well, what if it isn't the consequences of my action? Johnny in prison having to actually work. That's a reality show worth watching. And 2026 sure is coming like a good year, to be honest. Even though we had these like Kudo E Playboy date, but looks like it might be pretty good, I cannot wait to see what's gonna happen literally in September. Well then, was not expecting this, to be honest. Maybe there is some good in the universe, to be honest. Thank you, South Korea. Thank you. He should have got a bigger sentence, in my personal opinion. But yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And honestly, thank you, Atozi, for covering Johnny Somali and the updates and like everything that has been happening. Thank you. Thank you so much, Holy cow. I'm gonna be honest with you.